Travelers' third quarter profit and revenue came in higher than expected. You clearly know this company much better than I do. But on paper, on the surface, this looks like a really good quarter, and this looks like the most important numbers are moving in the right direction for them, which leads me to ask, why is this stock down today, and why is it basically flat for the year?
Well, I think anybody, it's anybody's guess as to why a stock moves on any given day, and you hear that buy the rumor, sell the news, and whatever. I mean, the stock market, I think, is generally taking a beating today anyway. But to your point, I think that when you go through this release, clearly, I mean, it was a good quarter on all fronts. Now, perhaps the market is thinking a little bit forward, and perhaps the catastrophic losses that might come from Michael and anything else that may come down the pike. But I mean, when I came to the Fool from Travelers back in 2010, Traveler shares were around $50, and today we're seeing them trade around $125, up about 150%. And it actually, I think, had hit a recent high of $150. So I just like to feel like I left the company in a good place. I mean, so you guys are welcome. I mean, I miss you, but hey. But in all seriousness, I often wonder, in all of my time here, and I have shot this across the radar before, early on in my days here. I don't understand why this is a business that's never been in one of our services, to be frank. I mean, because it is a very good business. We seem to like insurers here. I mean, obviously, we latch on to Berkshire Hathaway and Markel, and I think Progressive is a company that gets bandied about here from time to time. And Travelers, to me, it's a good operator. I can tell you from my time working there, they were very focused on keeping the business. It was less about conservatism. It was more about, let's go ahead and pay what we owe, minimize the cost on the claim side, avoid subrogation at all costs, whether it's on the auto side or the home side or whatever. But it was just the general mentality there was, let's pay what we owe and let's keep this business moving forward and do right by our customers. And so I think the benefit there is that they maintain a pretty loyal customer base. And now we're seeing them partnering up with Amazon, which I think is really fascinating because I don't know that I would look for Amazon to get in the insurance game. I don't know what they could do to be better at insurance than anyone else, other than maybe giving you insurance for a lower price and maybe covering more. But I mean, insurance is a pretty difficult balance there. I don't suspect I'd see Amazon getting into that, but to partner up with something like Travelers, to me, is fascinating. So you mentioned Markel, and Markel is from a business standpoint and just certainly from a stock perspective, but also from a business perspective, it's an interesting business. They get into specialty insurance, and some of it gets pretty esoteric. Do you think maybe in a small way what works against Travelers is there isn't anything particularly sexy about that? Like, they're a good, that's how I think about Travelers. They're a good operator. They're steady Eddie. There's nothing particularly exciting about them. Yeah, I think the red umbrella is probably the sexiest thing about the business. I mean, and let's be clear, I'm not really saying that ought to get your motor running either. I mean, I think your point is spot on. It is a very boring business. I mean, they're an insurer, and they're not doing anything terribly special. Their investment portfolio is primarily fixed income. But they do a very good job, I think, of writing a strong book, of doing right by their customers, and that keeps those net premiums coming. And net premiums, which is a good way to gauge the growth of the business, we're up 6% for the quarter, which is good. I think it's always interesting. We look at combined ratios to get a better idea of how they're writing those premiums, and so they offer up the combined ratio, but then they offer up what they call the underlying combined ratio. The underlying is essentially excluding catastrophic losses because those are a little bit more difficult to time and understand. Last year, their combined ratio was a little bit over 103%, which that's not good. We want to see that number below 100%. Combined ratio this year was 96.6% and an underlying combined ratio of 93%. So that's all to say they're writing good business. And I think that when you have a company like Travelers that continues to write good business, the business is in great financial shape, you get what we've seen here, just a nice, steady Eddie boring business. But if you've bought and held shares of this company over the past decade, you're feeling really good about that. And frankly, I just think there's more of that to come.